Hello, friends. I have a rest in this beautiful place. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Chapter 3. Get the door open. We're leaving now. Christina shouts, jumping down from the stairwell and dashing for the doorway. What was all that noise? Cassie asks, standing up. This sick thing ... It ripped her open and strangled her with her own neck. Get outside, we have to go, now. The door flies open, and the girls stampede outside into the fog. They suffer through minutes of hail and rain pounding their faces. Within minutes, they have returned to the sorority home they had just emerged from. Impossible. We just ran a mile at the least away from this place. Christina screams out. It wants us here, whatever it is, Sarah mutters. Not true. We can leave. We have to be able to. This is an apostrophe T ... isn't possible. Christina shouts just as her phone rings again. This time, the tone is a simple vibration. She answers it, "What do you want, you sick? Do you give up?" It mutters out. "Listen, you freak, let us go now." I take that as a no. The phone grows silent, and then the noise changes to the sound of a child rapidly chewing on something and laughing. "My girl would like to speak to you." "Hi, Christina." She shoves the phone shut and slides it into her pocket. "We have to go back to the house," she says, holding Cassie and Sarah's hands, and then making their inevitable trip inside. Back inside, the girls smell a faint and disgusting smell of burning flesh. They gather together on the couches in the wide open, with Cassie contemplating what to do. "So," she says, "we have a demon hunting us down with his cannibalistic daughter, and we're trapped here until we all die?" This makes about as much sense as murdering rabbits to make a quilt. "We could hide until the storm passes over," Sarah suggests. "It'll get us if we do that. Think about it, it's like we're living a horror story. Every possible cliché can happen and probably will. The next thing you know, someone will be holding a knife to our throats begging us to go to sleep." Cassie shouts in pure terror of the situation. "Calm down, Cassie. We'll make it through this. This storm will end off eventually, right?" she says. She brings her friends with her to the basement doors. "There could be something down here," Christina says, looking down at the doors. "Candles," Abigail mentions. "Candles? We can light them with something to keep light on us at all times," Christina says. Abigail lifts open the basement hatch and they all step down. Inside of the, again, dimly lit basement, the girls discover a lantern hung over a latch on the eastern wall. "That wasn't there before now, was it?" Sarah asks. "No, it wasn't." Christina wanders over and lifts it off of the latch. The wall then collapses with the latch, revealing a torn-down hallway and a door at the end of the hall. Christina eerily steps forward and opens the door up to find supplies. Several tons of lantern oil and wick lie inside. She grabs some canisters and sets the lantern ablaze, giving light to the entire room. It's at this moment that she sees another weakened wall from the fire. She goes back into the basement area to inspect it and discovers another hidden door. She opens it up and steps inside to a bluely lit room full of boxes and books. "Seems ominous," Abigail says, looking inside with Christina. "Seems dangerous," Cassie warns. "We have no choice but to go in. We're all together, right? We'll be fine if we stick together," Christina says, gathering with her sorority sisters. They venture inside of the old room to find several hundred books over the occult and demon worship. This place burned down, leaving all of this stuff behind? The sisters that died here. I wonder if this is all theirs? Sarah ponders aloud. This is all crazy. I don't like being here. Can we please leave? Abigail asks. No. We have to keep going or we won't ever escape. We're sitting ducks, Abigail. Christina shouts at her. Within a glance of a second, Sarah is pulled to the ground and dragged into the basement once more. She screams until the door slams onto them, locking and trapping the girls inside. The phone rings and Christina answers it to hear the noise of eating and slicing. She drops the phone onto the ground and steps on it, crushing it into tons of pieces. She hoists the lantern up and backs up, beginning to cry at the thought of desolation and that one of her dearest friends was just murdered by this thing. Chapter 4. Inside of the hall, Christina leads Abigail and Cassie through the maze of crates and books until finding a small sitting area with 3 rooms behind it, all blocked off by locked doors. I don't think this is possible anymore. There's no way this was built by the community underneath the old sorority house, Abigail says, still rubbing her shoulder from the previous fall she took. When did this stuff start? There has to be some way to stop them, Christina says, looking around the lounge. The box. When Jamie opened up that box, this scrap started happening. Abigail exclaims. The doors flew open before it was opened, Cassie says. Maybe it was in here, but we released its daughter from some sort of prison. Maybe we could be mean and make a huge pun, burn the box, Christina says to her friends. It's difficult to burn something you can't reach. I do believe we got locked in when Sarah got ripped apart, Cassie says, looking slightly shocked and upset. Just wondering what if he can hear us? Abigail asks. It. Not it. We don't know if it can or not, but we should try to get out of here and now. If we burn the box, we can probably stop it and get out of this wretched place, Christina says, looking around. She turns around and darts into the door, using all of her body weight to attempt to knock it down. Using the combined force of the 3, the door blasts open, landing onto Sarah's corpse and revealing more open doorways. Christina urges them to the upstairs area, where they find the box sitting out on the table like it was regularly placed. However, on the couch is the Wendigo. It turns to them and smiles, licking the fire poker and laughing. My daughter was so beautiful on that horse, was she not? It's too bad I had to kill her like I did my wife. But it was all for destiny. We had to kill each other to be together for eternity. We are one now, don't you see? He asks. A small girl enters the room with her hair back. She would be pretty, too, if her eyes weren't black and she didn't have such sharp teeth when she grinned. And now we're going to be together with you girls forever. Just like we are with the girl upstairs and the one being squished by a door. How does that sound? It asks, standing up and grabbing the box. I like to nickname this as Pandoras Box. It seems an adequate name, yes? It released your nightmare into the world. Christina, without breaking a sweat, twirls the lantern in her hand and throws it at the being. Shrieks when the floor catches fire and accidentally drops the box. The girl, aware of the attack on her father, lunges and pounces onto Christina. It begins to shriek and claw at her chest. Get it off. The box slowly melts in the oncoming fire, along with the girl. She slowly turns to a walking skeleton as she claws through Christina's body. Abigail and Cassie manage to rip her off, but before she can turn to skull and bones, She manages to sink her teeth into Cassie's throat. She tumbles back, screaming. The Wendigo shrieks as well at the sight of his now dying daughter, Marissa. It dashes through the flame, setting itself on fire. It leaps at the skeleton, lifting it up to his face. The fire spreads to the furniture and wall, bringing it down quickly. The supports inside collapse, bringing down a portion of the upper floor. Let's go. Christina screams out, panting for breath at the scratch marks and smoke filling the house. Cassie lies there on the floor, bleeding profusely from her neck until eventually closing her eyes. The flame engulfs her, just as the Wendigo turns and wields his fire poker out for his final stand. You killed her, you dirty horse-riding tramps. Christina and Abigail dash to the outside just as it manages to dive for Abigail's foot. It misses and stands back up. Abigail stops on her way out and grabs a chair by a desk and smacks it against the Wendigo's head, knocking it back. It falls back into the flame and lands on the couch, which is by now burning to ash. The supports in the walls of the home give out. They release, and the sorority house grumbles beneath itself. A wind gust of relief blows by the two surviving girls, releasing them from their cursed bounds. The hurricane has miraculously ended, and they are standing in the middle of the street. How did this even happen? Abigail asks, looking over to Christina. Jamie screwed around with the box. Why do I ever listen to you girls? She responds, turning and walking toward her real home. Abigail still stands, watching in distraught at the collapsed piece of ash.